Hello people of YouTube and welcome back. So I'm going to be doing a quick VR response video to Geordie Slasher and the guy that shares his name with me, Nath Retro Geek. No, it's not Nath Retro. I'll put a link below, maybe, if I can be bothered. The guy that shares the name with me, so he's all instantly awesome. Yeah, they did a quick, well, they did do a quick, they probably actually planned it. They did a video about 10 games that brings memories back to you. So I just did a quick flick through my whole collection and just put 10 games out. I actually went a bit over. There was one that kind of brought in my collecting phase of limited run games, but no one wants to know about that. People want to talk retro, so let's go retro, shall we? So the first game that brings a lot of memories back to me is PacMan on the Atari 2600. Now a lot of people keep saying this is the worst version of PacMan, and you know, you're probably right, but for me, this is the version of PacMan. This is what I knew growing up. It was a long time until I knew there was an arcade machine or something like that. So the story is, on my second Christmas, I got an Atari 2600, and then there began the seed for all of this, I suppose. But yeah, obviously that was for my dad, but the story is it was for me. But yeah, eventually I was old enough to play it, and the first game that I absolutely remember is PacMan. And I've played this game so much. It's very clunky compared to the original, but the sound effects in this are just ingrained into my head. It's just one of them games that's like I will never forget. And I know this game a lot better than the arcade or any other version. I know the flickery sprites, the square pixels, the different shaped mazes. Everything about this game is PacMan to me. Like I say, I mean, I probably would have been 3 or 4 maybe, I guess, when I actually started playing this. So 3 or 4, even with a stool, I'm not even going to get onto an arcade machine, am I? So yeah, this was the game that I played for a while, and when I got my 2600 back, I actually got this back because obviously everyone's got PacMan. Sorry about that. So yeah, this is a fantastic game and truly up there for one of my favourite games of all time. This version, not any other version, the one that people hate. So next up we have got, this is just a random fill-in game. This is just the top Amiga game, just for me to remember, because I don't own it. It's well, I own this one, but the game that in question I want to talk about is called Chubby Gristle. So what Chubby Gristle is, it's a C64, maybe Spectrum port, like a single screen sort of platformer where you collect. Well, you're a fat parking attendant, and what you're trying to do is get even fatter. You got to make sure that you beat off I think there's a hunger bar, I think, if I remember correctly, and you go around getting bacon bits, eggs, all greasy spoon kind of food all along the levels, while trying not to get murdered by other things. And like I say, you're a parking attendant, and I'm not too sure if it's in the originals, but when it got, I suppose, remade, like a remaster, as you will, for the Amiga, they added voice synthesis, and that's what I really remember about the game, because it used to go, can't park that here. Yeah, I'm not doing that again. Well, I might do. And me and my dad, we used to all the time when we used to go out, for years after, even after we got rid of the Amiga, if someone was parking bad, we'd be like, can't park that here, in the same way of Chubby Gristle. So if I said that to my dad now, he would know exactly what that is, and he's probably not even thought about that game for years and years, just because it's just sort of a weird saying, can't park that here. But he was a parking attendant, that was his job, to make sure everyone parked in the right places. But yeah, that game is fiendishly hard. I've been looking for it on the Amiga for years and years and years, and I can only find the old 8-bit ones. So I don't know if it's rare. I don't know if it was maybe sort of a what's it called, a public domain game, because I got a lot of my games copied. I used to sort of the LimeWire of back in the day, where I used to go to a computer club and just copy games willy-nilly with everyone. So yeah, we just had blank discs, so we won't know if it's public domain or it's a full price title, and I kind of like that. It was kind of good because it kind of like put all games on the same level. We were just looking at a title, and we probably know what some of them were because we'd get magazines and stuff, but a lot of them were like Chubby Gristle, where no one talks about, sort of thing. So yeah, that is a very memorable game for me. I absolutely loved it. So next up we have got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Have I got batteries in here? Oh yeah, listen to that. Listen to that. So yeah, this is the LCD version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, this in fact, I could just blanket put this with a lot of LCD games. I had a Game Boy back in the day, but you'd never take a Game Boy to school just in case you lost it. Imagine losing the Game Boy at school, and your mum's like, why aren't you playing your Game Boy anymore? I took it to school and I lost it. Yeah, I would have been banned from life for years and years. So we had these, and if we lost one of these, it would be, well, it would be something. We'd still get grounded, but not the same as if we took a Game Boy and lost it. So yeah, this would be contraband in the backpack. Took it to school, turned the sound off because you don't want to alert any of the teachers you got one of these. And yeah, you'd just be sat there playing it away. Very monotonous gameplay and stuff, but I don't know. The sound effects of LCD games, again, it invokes that emotion of like retro nostalgia. Just remember so many things because I've played so many of these, probably nearly as much as a Game Boy. The thing is, I would even go home and I would play this over my Game Boy sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. But yeah, I would say out of all of them, because probably of the hype of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I played this the most. And do you know what? It's probably as good as the NES game. Probably is. Because that game is good, but very frustrating. Very frustrating. So yeah, just LCD games in general. Oh man, what a time. What an era. Imagine giving this to a kid now. They'll be like, what are you doing to me? am I getting punished? Next up, another handheld. Unfortunately no box, but I don't collect boxes for this, and it's Put and Putter for the Game Gear. So again, probably an average title to most people, but this was one of my games of choice for the Game Gear back in the day. I used to have the battery clip-on thing where you put it on your trousers and it would just extend the life of the Game Gear, because as everyone knows, it was a battery hog back in the day. So yeah, I used to have one of them and never had a problem. Like everyone keeps complaining about that, the Game Gear, the batteries always died and stuff, but with that I was either stuck on the wall like in my conservatory, or with the battery pack somewhere else. And one of the main games I used to play all of the time was Put and Putter. So yeah, it's a simple like golf, crazy golf game, but the stages go a little bit different. So I used to really like crazy golf games back in the day on the Amiga. Again, the Amiga. Lots of crazy golf games on the Amiga. There's one in particular on the Amiga I used to play quite a lot, and I can't remember what it's called. It's probably something like Crazy Golf, but I'd like to remember that actually. But honestly, I think I played this one the most. I think it's just because of the simple nature of it. It was great for just pick up and play sort of gameplay. Oh dear, bit of the old rumble. But yeah, Put and Putter. I don't know if anyone else has played this, but yeah, like I say, this used to go with me absolutely everywhere and made my Game Gear for me. And sticking with Sega, I could probably get this into sort of age order. Let's change these around a bit. So next up, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Well, it should be Sonic the Hedgehog 1, but I don't actually have that one for some reason. So I'm going to be showing off this one. So Sonic the Hedgehog 1 was my introduction to the Master System. So I was a big NES kid, and to do a memory for the NES would be too hard because I've got quite a lot of them. Because my first lot of games were all bangers, all from the start. There was like Castlevania, Mega Man, Mario's, and you know, how can you could talk all day about them. But for me, Sonic the Hedgehog, I can remember going to youth club. I'm pretty certain it's supposed to be a memory, so it's supposed to be like solid and hard fast in it. But I can remember going to the youth club and they had a Master System, and I've never played one before, so the game that they had in the console the most was Sonic, and at the time I'd already played Sonic on the Mega Drive, because I got a Mega Drive before a Super Nintendo, because I'm pretty certain, like, my memories are very like hazy up and down, but when I've been looking around I was like, yeah, I remember getting like this after Sonic. And I can remember thinking, I loved Sonic, I honestly did, but when I played this, it was like, oh, it felt more like Mario. Well, not this, but Sonic 1 felt like more like Mario, where it was like an actual platformer, and I kind of enjoyed that dynamic a bit more. But I still love Sonic, and don't get me wrong, I still loved it. But again, this game, Sonic 1 on the Master System, it got me to ask my parents for a Master System. Again, it was one in, one out, so I'd had to get rid of something. So I got my Master System, got Sonic 1, and it was fantastic. But like, honestly, I probably played Sonic 1 the most on the Game Gear, because I loved my Game Gear. Again, batteries, so I used to be able to just run through it very easily, remember everything. Back in the day, you just completed games for fun. Now we just complete it once and then move on, whereas back in these days, we could play, we mapped everything out in our head, like stages ahead, what we're going to do. It's crazy. But yeah, Sonic 1, a very subdued version of Sonic, in fact a different game of Sonic, and it was weird. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, and it got me to enjoy the Master System, because I never really, like I say, I didn't really put much thought into it, and the white and black boxes really kind of put me off at the time. Next up, we have, probably at the similar time of when I got that, maybe a couple of years later, I picked up this, and it is Parodius for the Super Famicom. And yes, the Super Famicom version is what I'm intending to show off, because near me there was a local car boot. Well, it was not a car boot, it was like a market with a car boot on it. It was like, it was huge. It was in an old Air Force base, a place called Hemswell Market. If anyone knows, raise your hand. Yeah, that was sort of like on the way to Lincoln. Trying to think where a bigger place is, but yeah, it's close to Lincoln anyway. Big Air Force base. There was like hangars full of like people selling stuff, and all along there used to be people selling import games. Saw some incredible stuff, including the Super Famicom TV, which I just thought was just some kind of knockoff at the time. That would have been incredible. Can you imagine if I had that still? That would have been awesome. But no, I don't. But yeah, one of the games I picked up was this, and it, like, the artwork on it just like blew my mind. Like, I was like, I've never seen artwork like this before, and it really got me into sort of import games. Now, I wasn't a big like, I didn't go and get every import game, but I have like a little cartridge, a little slot on the back where you put the cartridge on the top, and then you put a UK one in the back, so it was like sort of like a T shape or something. And yeah, that was the way I used to play these. To be honest, like, knowing what we know now, that's probably not the best way to have done it. I should have just got a Super Famicom maybe, but I didn't know that back then. But yeah, this was the game that I used to play so much. I've had this probably about 4 times, on and off. Like I say, games, we used to have a few on hand at all times, but it was always like one in, one out. You used to go to the markets and you could trade them for like £3.50, I think it was £3, £3.50, and you just do one in, one out, and it was just a great time to live in, really. So every weekend I would have a different game. I would be waiting for the time we could go to the market and do like a bit of a trade. Sometimes go to the car boot, even get another game for like really cheap as well. So yeah, but like I say, this game, we're talking about this game, aren't we? I suppose this game cemented my love for shooters. I'd already played Parodius and other like Amiga spaceship shooters, but this kind of took it a different way that I'd never seen before. It was colourful, it was like fun, it was like, it wasn't as serious or anything. At the time I didn't realise it was a parody of Parodius, of Gradius. I just thought it was its own game. Again, hindsight, isn't it, really? Because they look so different, but they played very similar. And yeah, I just loved this like look. I remember like getting Twinbee later on, and then coming back to get this, and I was like, oh yeah, Twinbee's in this. And it was like it was just that gradual thing, and I can remember drawing all the characters. Like, that's how much I loved the graphics of this. And to this day, I still love this game. I've still not completed it as a 1cc or anything. I intend to one day, but I do have the cat spaceship fortress tattooed to me. I've got it on my leg. So yeah, that is how much I love this game. I've actually got a bit of artwork put to me thanks to this game. Yeah, like honestly, I could talk about this all day, but it's the TMB podcast soon, and I've got to go over and film that in a minute. And that's live, so I can't put it off. Next up, out of order. So when the new consoles were coming out, it was the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1. I went the Sega route because, to me, Sony wasn't a gaming manufacturer. They made TVs. What do they know about games? I like the arcades. I like Sega. I like Nintendo. So I went for the Sega Saturn. And one of the games I picked up first, well, it was Virtual Fire, and then I think it was this. And oh boy. And this is one game I think I had from the start of owning the Sega Saturn to the end of owning the Sega Saturn. And man, I've put so many hours into this, just shaving off like 0.00 seconds off each lap just to try and like beat my high scores. And like, I think the fact it was like used to go sharp right, high pin left, stuff like that, made it very unique. I mean, to be honest, it was the first game that I played 3D. I mean, I saw it in the arcades, played it in the arcades, but bringing it home, it was like I could play it multiple times and really hone my skills. Back then, this was arcade perfect. It really was. Like, it felt like I had the arcade at home, honestly. Like, it was crazy. Not like I've got the Japanese one. I actually don't have the UK one. I really want the UK one because the UK one is what I remember, so I probably should have that one, but alas, it is only this one. But yeah, I was absolutely enamored with this game until you probably all know where this is going, don't you? None of my friends went the Sega Saturn route. They all went PlayStation. They all abandoned me and went PlayStation because obviously it was a bit cheaper. Well, it was a lot cheaper, I think. But I used to do a summer job, although I think it wasn't the summer when that came out. I think I just borrowed some money off my parents and intended to pay them back. Probably got a bit of money off and stuff. But yeah, then this game came out, didn't it? Ridge Racer. And at the time, I used to be going to Skegness all the time because we used to have a caravan there when this came out. And I must play this about 4 or 5 times every weekend at the arcades. I never used to play Sega Rally as much at the arcades because I had that at home. But I played this all the time at the arcade, and I think I enjoyed that red car that I used to sit in. It just felt really special to me. I don't know why. It used to be so good at the game. But yeah, my friends brought the PlayStations home, and of course along with it came Ridge Racer. And I was so jealous that they had this at home. Like I said, Sega Rally is arcade perfect. This just like ramps up the one-to-oneness. Obviously, there is a better version of this on the PlayStation 1, but this was the launch title version. And yeah, it was about a year of the PlayStation coming out and visiting friends and not being able to swap games, because swapping games was another way that we could all play games a bit more. And I couldn't do that with my Sega Saturn. I mean, it was good to for them to experience it and me to experience the PlayStation. But it got to a point where I was like, sorry, Sega Saturn, you're gonna have to go. And I traded it for a PlayStation. And unfortunately, I feel like really bad, like a really bad person, that I never looked back until like recent times, that I never had a Sega Saturn again until like recently. Whereas my Super Nintendo and my Mega Drive, I used to like swap them all the time. But yeah, never did. PlayStation library was too big. There was too much of it going on. And yeah, I absolutely loved Ridge Racer again. the thing is, now I had my friends who had this at home, and that's when the competition really started. We really like nailed this, got the times right down, and the soundtrack on this is absolutely banging. It is fantastic. Yeah, great game. I'm sure everyone has played it. Next up, again, one I've only just got this recently, and it is Chrono Trigger. It's not the Final Fantasy 4. It's actually Chrono Trigger that my memory comes from, because the other reason why I didn't go back with the Sega Saturn, piracy. I became a big pirate. There was a comic book shop just near me, and if you went round the back, you got chatting to him, and you went round the back, and he had a folder, lists full of like names of games, and you'd go, right, I want this one, and he would print it onto a disc for you, £2, two or £3. It wasn't much at all, and I used to come home with like a folder full of games. Like, some of them I couldn't play because it was completely in Japanese, because it wasn't just UK games, but he wouldn't put on it Japanese, UK, American or anything like that. So it was a complete guess of like what he was really coming home. But for the price, he couldn't really grumble. It was all right. So I muddled my way through a lot of games. However, I did get Chrono Trigger. I'd just played Final Fantasy 7, and so I asked for a recommendation of what to play next, and it was Chrono Trigger. The guy recommended me Chrono Trigger. Now, I'd already seen Chrono Trigger in like Superplay, I think it was, so I knew a little bit about it, but yeah, I wasn't prepared for like the sort of the story that unfolded. This Chrono Trigger was so much better than Final Fantasy 7. I don't care what other people say. I remember like the sort of, what's it called, the fair at the beginning, and then just traveling in time, and like you can like control robots and like cave women, and it was like, I don't know, the pixelated animation, like the pixel art that's in this game is just incredible, and it just beats the sort of like PlayStation sort of 3D rendered sort of graphics that all look muddy, they all look the same, and this just had that unique look to it. And I kind of forgot about it, and then I got a DS when I started collecting again, and I saw that Chrono Trigger was on it, and I was like, oh man, just floods of nostalgia came back. And I got the DS, and like I just remembered like every bit of the game going through it. I was like, I can't believe how much I remembered of this game, like how much like it actually stuck in my memory. So yeah, Chrono Trigger, fantastic game. Everyone should play this. It's kind of getting like, just recently I've been playing a few RPGs, and I think I'm always trying to relive the memory of Chrono Trigger, how good it was. It's like my perfect RPG really, because it just does the battle system how I like it. It's not too bloated or anything like that, and I just want more games like this. Sometimes it gets a bit too complicated for me, but yeah, fantastic game. Wish more games were like this, and I wish I had a little comic book guy to get me some really cheap games again. I wonder how he is. I wonder where he is. I wonder if he's started doing a collection like this, because I can't remember his name. And that was 20 odd years ago. So right, next up, the last game. This is the last game, so I hope I'm not too late for the TMB. It's God of War. So at the time when PlayStation 2 came out, I actually got one, but it just turned into a DVD player. I just was going out all the time. I was, well, seeing girls and stuff like that. So I had no time for playing video games. If I did, honestly, I would probably play the Dreamcast more, because the games that I was picking up were more arcadey and stuff like that. So it was just pick up and play. So yeah, the PlayStation 2 sort of like, I think I got rid of it. I just sold it. So when I moved to Leeds, I got on with a group of guys, and they were managers at the local skate park, and that skate park was sponsored by PlayStation, and that was a really good time, because of that they got a PlayStation Extra, all because of the sponsorship. They brought it home into our shared house, and would get the latest games, the games that just come out, maybe even like about a week or so before they came out. And God of War, oh my goodness, I think this game is the game that we all played the most. I can remember like we had sort of like speed runs of it and stuff like that to see how quick we could do it, because we'd put it on and just one person will sit there and play it, and then about a week later someone else will play through it, but we'd all just sit in the room just chatting and like, again, sort of playing games like I've never played before, because it was like social, but like different type of social. It was really different, and very competitive as well, because I think if I remember there is a sort of a mode where you can like sort of like see how far you can go, and obviously we would try and see how far we could go and beat it. But yeah, like this just brings back really good memories of like that shared house. To be honest, most of the time we was all pissed or on the floor, and when we wasn't, we would either watching Hollyoaks or playing this. So yes, that is some of my memories. I'm hoping this comes back again, because I would like to talk about some other games. But yeah, oh, I should probably have nominated people. Nath Retro won. I would love to see a little memories video from you. Rob Gurnaldinho, I would like to see some of your past memories of games. I know you collects 360 mostly now, but it doesn't have to own the games to talk about them. So yeah, I'd love to hear your like real gaming past. Going the TMB route now, and yeah, of course, Mr. Retro Bear, come on, TMB, massive. And well, why not just open up to the whole TMB? I'd like everyone in the TMB to do one of these videos, because I've not seen a VR from a lot of people for a while. So yeah, anyway, thanks for getting through my random ramblings, and